You told me to keep my energy inside and to bring it to my hara. Since then, this suggestion stays with me, and my belly has become my best friend, and the place below my navel a mirror of my feelings. In all this time, tears and laughter of joy and gratitude for being able to spend this life with you have kept back most of my words. Would you please say something more about the hara and guide me further?
Deva Radhika. Hara is our center. From where life leaves the body. It is the center of death. The word hara is from Japanese. That's why in Japan, suicide is called harakiri. The center is just 2 inches below the navel. The center is very important, and almost everybody else in the world has felt it, but only in Japan they have gone deeper into its implications. Even the people in India who had worked tremendously on centers have missed hara. And the reason for their missing was because they never considered death to be of any significance. Because your soul never dies. So why bother about a center that functions only as a door for your energies to get out and to enter into another body? They worked from sex, which is the life center. And they worked on 7 centers. But they have not even mentioned hara in no Indian scripture. The people who worked hardest on the centers for thousands of years have not mentioned hara cannot be just a coincidence. The reason was that they never took death seriously. These 7 centers are of life centers, and each center is of higher life. The 7th is the highest center of life, when you are almost a god. The hara is very close to the sex center. If you don't rise towards higher centers, towards the 7th center which is in your head, and you remain your whole life at the sex center, then just by the side of sex center is the hara. Then life will end, and the hara will be the center from where your life will move out of the body. Why I have told Radhika because she was very energetic, but not aware of any higher centers. Her whole energy was at the sex center, and she was overflowing. And the energy at the sex center overflowing is dangerous, because it can start releasing from the hara. And if it starts releasing from hara, then the possibility to take it upwards becomes more difficult. So I had told her to keep her energy in. Don't be so expressive. Hold it in. I simply wanted the hara center to be completely closed, which was opening and which could have been very dangerous. And she followed it, and she has changed a totally different person. Now when I see her, I cannot believe her expressiveness that I had seen for the first time. Now she is more centered. And her energy is moving in the right direction of higher centers. It is almost at the 4th center, which is the center of love. Which is a very balancing center. There are 3 centers below it, and 3 centers above it. And once a person is at the center of love, there is very rare possibility for him to fall back lower. because he has tasted something of the heights. Now valleys will be very dark, ugly. He has seen sunlit peaks, not very high, but still high. Now his whole desire will be, and that is the trouble of all lovers. They want more love because they don't understand that real desire is not for more love, but something more than love. But their language ends with love. They don't know any idea that is more than love. And love does not satisfy. On the contrary, the more you love, the more thirsty you become. The fourth center of love feels a tremendous satisfaction only when energy starts moving to the fifth center. Fifth center is in your throat. And the sixth center is your third eye. And the seventh center, the sahasrara, is on the top of your head. And all these centers have different expressions and different experiences. When love moves to the fifth center, then whatever talents you have, any creative dimension is possible for you. This is the center of creativity. It is not only for songs, it is not only for music, it is for all creativity. The Hindu mythology has a beautiful story. It is a mythology, but the story is beautiful, and particularly to explain to you the fifth center. Indian mythology thinks that there is a constant struggle between the evil forces and the good forces. And they both discovered that if they do a certain search into the ocean, they can find nectar, and whoever will drink it will become immortal. So they all tried to find it. But as life balances everywhere, there too, before they found the nectar, they found poison that was hiding the nectar underneath it. Nobody was ready even to taste it. Even the very sight of it created sickness. And one of the men, they thought, who is the first hippie of the world, perhaps he may be ready. He is the god Shiva. So they asked God Shiva, you test it. He said, okay. He not only tested it, he drank it all over. It was pure poison. But as he tasted it, it was pure poison. He held it just into his neck at the fifth center. Because at the fifth center, which is a creative center, became completely poisoned, Shiva became the god of destruction. So Hindus have three gods: Brahma, who creates the world, and Vishnu, who sustains the world, and Shiva, who destroys the world. But his destruction came from his creative center being poisoned. And the poison was so much that it cannot be a small destruction. He can only destroy the whole existence. So when Vishnu is tired of maintaining it, Shiva destroys it. And by that time, Brahma has forgotten, millions of years have passed. He did create the world. He again starts creating it. Just old routine. Brahma is the creator god, but in the whole of India there is only one temple devoted to Brahma. Because who cares about him? He has done his work. It is futile to say anything to him. Vishnu have millions of temples because he is the sustainer god. Krishna and Rama are all incarnations of Vishnu. But nobody can compete with Shiva. Shiva has more shrines to him than anybody else. And he is a hippie, so he does not need very great temples or anything. Just anywhere, under any tree, you just put a round stone, oval shape, and he does not ask much. Few leaves, not even flowers. Few leaves you drop there, few drops of water on his head just to keep him cool. So people have created devices. They just hang a small pot on top of his head with a small drip, drip, drip. It keeps him cool so he does not get annoyed at anybody and destroys the world. And everybody is afraid of him, so naturally he has many more worshippers, many more temples, many more shrines. Every small village you will find at least a dozen Shiva shrines, because they cost nothing. Any poor man can afford it. And he has to be worried about because he is going to destroy. Keep him satisfied. And he does not ask much. Just keep his head cool. And flowers are costly, just any 2 leaves, and his worship is finished. But he became the destroyer of the world because his 5th center got the whole poison of existence accumulated there. It is our creative center. That's why lovers have a certain tendency to creativity. When you fall in love, you suddenly feel like creating something. It is very close. If you are rightly guided, your love can become your great creative act. It can make you a poet, it can make you a painter, it can make you a dancer, it can make you in any dimension to reach to the stars. And the 6th center is between the 2 eyes, which we call the 3rd eye, which gives you a clarity, a vision of all your past lives and all of the future possibilities. And once your energy has reached to your 3rd eye, then you are so close to enlightenment that something of enlightenment starts showing its radiation from the man of the 3rd eye. And he starts feeling a pull towards the 7th center. Because of these 7 centers, India never bothered about hara. Hara is not in the line. It is just by the side of the sex center. Sex center is life center and hara is death center. And too much excitement, too much uncenteredness, too much throwing your energy all over the place is dangerous because it takes your energy towards the hara. And once the root is created, it becomes more difficult to move it upwards. Hara is equally parallel to the sex center, so the energy can move very easily. It was a great discovery from the Japanese because they found that there is no need to cut your head or shoot your brain to kill. They are all unnecessary painful. Just a small knife exactly forced at the hara center and without any pain, life disappears. Just the center should be open and life disappears as if the flower opens and the fragrance disappears. The hara should be kept closed. That's why, Radhika, I had told you to be more centered and to keep your feelings inside and to bring it to your hara. Since then, this suggestion stays with me, and my belly has become my best friend, and the place below my navel a mirror of my feelings. If you can keep your hara consciously controlling your energies, it does not allow them to go out. You start feeling a tremendous gravity, a stability, a centeredness, which is a basic necessity for the energy to move upwards. You are asking, I feel that behind this small suggestion of yours lay more than I can imagine. Certainly, there is much more. A Pole is walking down the street and passes a hardware store advertising a sale on a chainsaw that is capable of cutting 700 trees in 7 hours. The Pole thinks that's a great deal and decides to buy one. The next day he comes back with the saw and complains to the salesman that the thing did not come close to chopping down the 700 trees that the ad said it would. Well, said the salesman, let us test it out back. Finding a log, the salesman pulls the starter cord and the saw makes a great roaring sound. What is that noise? Asked the Pole. So he must have been cutting by his own hands. It was an electric shock. Radhika, your hara center has so much energy that if it is rightly directed, enlightenment is not a far away place. So these two are my suggestions. Keep yourself as much centered. Don't get moved by small things. Somebody is angry, somebody insults you, and you think about it for hours. Your whole night is disturbed because somebody said something. If the hara can hold more energy, then naturally that more energy starts rising upwards. There is a certain capacity only in hara. And every energy that moves upwards moves through the hara. Just the hara should be closed. So one thing is that the hara should be closed, and the second thing is that you should always work for higher centers. For example, if you feel angry too much, you should meditate more on anger so that anger disappears and its energy becomes compassion. If you are a man who hates everything, then you should concentrate on hate, meditate on hate, and the same energy becomes love. Go on moving upwards. Think always of higher ladders so that you can reach to the highest point of your being. And there should be no leakage from the hara center. India has been too much concerned about sex for the same reason that sex can also take your energy outside. It takes. But at least the sex is the center of life. Even if it takes energy out, it will bring energy somewhere else. Life will go on flowing. But hara is a death center. Energy should not be allowed to move through hara. A person whose energy starts moving through hara, you can very easily detect. For example, there are people with whom you will find suffocated, with whom you will find as if they are sucking your energy. You will find that after they are gone, you feel at ease and relaxed, although they were not doing anything wrong to you. And just the opposite kind of people also you will find, whose meeting makes you joyful, healthier. If you were sad, your sadness disappears. If you were angry, your anger disappears. These are the people whose energy is moving on higher centers. Their energy affects your energy. We are affecting each other continuously. And a man who is conscious chooses friends and company which raises his energy higher. And the sense is very clear. There are people who suck you. Avoid them. It is better to be clear about it. Say goodbye to them. There is no need to suffer because they are dangerous. They can open your hara too. Their hara is open. That's why they create such sucking feeling in you. Psychology has not taken note of it yet, but it is of great importance that psychologically sick people should not be put together. And that's what is being done all over the world. Psychologically sick people are put into psychiatric institutes together. They are already psychologically sick, and you are putting them in a company which will drag their energy more lower. Even the doctors who work with psychologically sick people have given enough indication of it, because more psychoanalysts commit suicide than any other profession. More psychoanalysts go mad than any other profession. And every psychoanalyst once in a while needs to be treated by some other psychoanalyst. What happens to these poor people? Surrounded by psychologically sick people, they are continuously sucked. And they don't know any idea how to close their haras. There are methods, techniques to close the hara, just as there are methods for meditation to move the energy upwards. The best and simplest method is try to remain as much centered in your life as possible. But people cannot even sit silently. they will be changing their position. They cannot lie down silently. The whole night they will be turning and tossing. This is just unrest, a deep restlessness in their soul. One should learn restfulness. And in these small things, and the hara closes. And particularly psychologists should be trained, and psychologically sick people should not be put together. In the East, particularly in Japan, who has become aware of that center, in Zen monasteries, there is no psychologist as such. But there are in Zen monasteries small cottages far away from the main campus where Zen people live. But in the same forest or in the same mountain area. And if somebody is psychologically sick is brought to them, he is given a cabin there and he is told to relax, rest, enjoy, move around in the forest, but don't talk. Anyway, there is nobody to talk. Only once a time the man comes to give food. He is not allowed to talk to him either. And even if he talks, the man will not answer. So his whole energy is completely controlled. He cannot even talk. He cannot meet anybody. And you will be surprised what psychoanalysis cannot do in years is done in 3 weeks' time. In 3 weeks' time, the person is as healthy as normal people are. And nothing has been done, no technique, nothing. Just he has been left alone, so he cannot talk. He has been left alone, so he can rest and be himself. Is not expected to fulfill somebody else's expectations. Radhika, you have done well. Just go on whatever you are doing, accumulating your energy in yourself. The accumulation of energy automatically goes higher. And as it reaches higher, you will feel more peaceful, more loving, more joyful, more sharing, more compassionate, more creative. And the day is not far away when you will feel full of light and the feeling of coming back home.